Welcome everyone to Thrashcast episode 35. Tonight's a really good night. We're all jazzed about this one. We are talking about Sacrifice, Soldiers of Misfortune from 1990. And we have a special guest tonight. We have Gus Pynn from Sacrifice, drummer extraordinaire, who's going to give us some insight about the album. And we're going to pick his brains a little bit about past stuff. And we'll probably talk about, hopefully he'll give us some tidbits about the new upcoming record. So we're all looking forward to that. But before we go any further here, let's just welcome everyone in. And Billy, Jim, and Gus, how you guys all doing tonight?
All good.
Great.
Awesome. Okay. Now, before we start, I'll just mention where you can find our podcast. We are 35 episodes in, so there's a lot of episodes to go back and watch. We're on our website, which is at www.horrormetalsounds.com. You can look us up there. You can go to YouTube and just look up Thrashcast Horror Metal Sounds. You'll find us there on our YouTube channel, where we post weekly. We're also on Rumble, and we also have the audio version on Spotify. So all we ask is that if you're listening to the podcast, please chime in, send us a comment. We like for everyone to like and subscribe on YouTube. Our numbers are going up and up and up every week, and we greatly appreciate the audience that we have. So we're all excited about that. So as I mentioned off the top, we have Gus here from Sacrifice, and he's going to give us some insight about the album, past albums. We are going to be talking about Soldiers of Misfortune as well, so we'll get into that. Before we do, we're going to do our usual segment tonight for news and what's spinning. And Gus, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have anything you want to chime up right now, or?
Well, you guys can play any of the new ancient stuff if you like. For me, that's some good stuff.
Okay, no problem. I'm sorry, I don't want to put you on the spot, dude. But
not long ago, eh? So yeah, those guys know how to play and kick it real good.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll volley this over to Billy. Billy, what do you have that's anything for news and spinning tonight?
Yeah, so for news items, I got two things. One, some details came out yesterday on the new Destruction album. So it's going to be called Birth of Malice, out on Napalm Records, March 2025. So the album artwork, I obviously don't have a copy yet. It's not out, but it looks pretty cool. I think people like that. There's going to be a new music video out. At the time we're recording this, it's Wednesday. It comes out Thursday. So by the time people watch this on Friday, you could go check out the new video on the Destruction website. Doesn't have the title yet, so I don't know what to call it, but just go to the website. And then lastly, the band had said they described the new album as heavy and feels like an old school punch to the gut. So it doesn't give us too much detail, but I suspect it, based on that, it'll be their traditional thrash stylings. Then the second item is a new tour announced yesterday or today. Not on the thrash side, but on the death metal side. Decapitated, Incantation, Darkest Hour, and Ex Mortis. So that'll be February and March of 2025, hitting Canada and the US. And sorry, Jim, they hit pretty much every major city in Canada, but out your way. So
Halifax, Joe.
Yeah, poor Jim never gets any, rarely gets a show out there.
Yeah. Lucky enough to see them in May in Toronto. I got to see them this year, so I was happy about
that.
Yeah. Cool. And then what's spinning? Well, what would be spinning? I'm preparing for the Sacrifice and to chat here with Gus. So I've broke out the catalog. So just in case there's any new fans, we've got Torment of Fire. We got Forward to Termination. We'll also be mentioning the ones I condemn. Yeah. And then listening to some live stuff. This was a single and some live stuff. The single World War V and some Japanese live material on this EP, I guess we would call it, or a vinyl single maybe. And then lastly, spinning this old school item. And Gus, I think this is you on the cover. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So this is an old
That's
show.
my first cover, and that's
Yeah.
probably my last.
Oh yeah. So November 23rd, 1985 at the Starward Club.
Yeah, I remember that night.
So that was pretty cool to give that a spin again. So yeah, that's what I was spinning this week, getting ready.
And then you can't forget Soldiers of Misfortune, dude.
He's got it.
He's got it. Good
The picture disc.
Sweet.
Yeah, that one's a special one for sure.
Yeah, Sean Collinson did that artwork. I like that cover quite a bit. It's really good.
Yeah, even my buddy Brian Shelton redid the logo for us on that album.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
I've been hanging around with that guy since I guess maybe 02, 01.
Oh yeah,
Even
okay.
before I started playing drums again, I was hanging around with that guy. So
Cool.
it's been a long relationship. Yeah, he was pretty happy about the new record too.
I'm sure he was. I don't think there's anyone that's not going to be happy about it, dude.
Everybody that's heard it, just been
Cool.
It's been really nice hearing what they've had to say. Really
Cool. Awesome. Okay, Jim. So over to you. What do you have for us tonight?
Just quick news item. King Diamond unfortunately canceled 2 Canadian dates in Edmonton and Saskatoon. They're not saying why, but it's rumored over ticket sales. It's hard to say because Montreal did so well, but depends on the venue size, I guess. Like Billy, you went to the King Diamond show in Toronto there, and you said the venue was pretty big, eh?
Yeah, they played like the great Canadian casino, and like that holds like 4,000. So
Yeah.
it looked like it was empty, but like I'm sure there was a good 1,500 people in there.
Yeah.
At least that.
Yeah.
You got it.
I'm just hoping. I'm hoping there's no health issues. That's the main thing, because I know they still got the show on for Calgary and then out in Vancouver. So hopefully everything's healthy and everything's good there. Yeah. What I'm spinning this week, well, preparing for the show, you guys brought CDs. Billy brought some vinyl. As you guys know, I found all my old cassettes up in my attic. So I broke out.
Nice.
My Torment and Fire, 1985, my actual, when I was a young fella, cassette. And I mean, you see, it is worn out like crazy. I mean, I played the hell out of this thing. And I have other cassettes. I just couldn't, I'm missing a box, but wicked photos. There's a good picture of Gus there. So, but I mean, I've been rocking them out on disc all week, and that's what I've been spinning all week. But yeah, I don't even have a cassette player to play this on, and I don't even know if it would work, but man, it is so cool to come across these gems like that when you find them. That's so wicked.
That's awesome, dude. Wicked. All right, so I don't really have much for news either, but I thought I'd show this out again. As I Lay Dying released their new single, The Void Within, today, which is kind of funny because we all know that the band is done and there's all that crazy debacle about why everybody walked away. So I heard the single. It wasn't bad. It's okay. I don't know what the album is going to sound like, but apparently Tim Lambesis is saying that he is going to be continuing new members. So good luck to him. That's all I got to say there. Good luck to him. And then the other bit of news tonight is Halloween just announced for 2025 the band's 40th anniversary. They are doing a tour in Europe, which I think kicks off in October. So it goes for 6 weeks. They're bringing Beast in Black along with them as their guests for the duration of the 6 weeks. And then apparently they don't hit North America and Asia until 2026. So it's kind of weird to kick off a 40th anniversary and have no dates in North America until 2026. But at least that's what I've heard. So it's kind of strange. But
although I guess they just did North America on the Pumpkins United tours, right? They came through already, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, I just thought it was a bit odd. You're doing a 40th anniversary, and it's like, wait, you're not here to 2026?
Plus, they've got their live album, double live album coming out
True.
in December, which will be pretty cool, I think.
True. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys, that's a good point. Good point. So, for spinning, like you guys, I've been listening to this all week long.
Yeah.
So, not that I need to, because I know the song
No.
because I've listened to it so much in the past. But it was nice to go back and give it a spin, and then before we talk, about the album tonight. But
Oh yeah,
that's all I have for spinning. So what we'll do now, we'll get into some of our questions that I've got prepared for you guys. So I'm going to let our guest of honor go first.
absolutely.
Gus. So the first question I wanted to pose to everyone was, where would you rank Sacrifice among the big four? I know you might give us a biased answer, Gus, but go for it.
Oh, are we talking about the Canadian?
Right, yeah, the Canadian big four. So like Razor, Annihilator, and Voivod, and yourself.
Fucking country, man. Bottom line. This album to cement that to pieces, without a doubt.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I didn't want to put you on the spot because we're all like talking about the big four, and we all like all four bands.
I would share a stage with all of them and have shared a stage with all of them.
Yeah.
But, mutual love's always been there.
Mhm.
But when I play with any band, I just don't show up to watch them kick my ass. No, that's not.
I like that.
The whole idea is, and we finish playing, they're gonna know that we've finished. And I've always had that attitude.
Absolutely, man. That's the best way to take it, right?
Cool.
Guys are legends as far as I'm concerned. But then, but all four bands are legends. So I mean, it's great that we can say,
it's been like the relationship with all those bands is great. And but yeah, I've never been intimidated about playing with anybody ever. I mean, maybe meeting them, but not playing. No, not sharing stage. Stages are stages, right? And when I get my turn, I get my turn. And I don't try and disappoint.
No, I wouldn't expect you to disappoint.
The attitude, right?
Yeah, that's all in the attitude. You got it, dude. Okay, so Jim, how would you answer this question? What would you say?
Well, I look at it a bit like mathematically, but what I like about the big four in Canada is they're so different than the American big four. I think in a lot of ways they're better in a lot of ways, especially with keeping their eye on what they're doing. But when you break it down for me, I love all four bands. They're awesome. But you've got Annihilator kind of done now, so but I mean those first couple of albums were just so monumental. Voivod, love Voivod, but again, what I love about Voivod, it's changed into more of a prog thrash sci-fi thing, and then you have Razor that's always been kind of going kind of balls out forward. What I love about Sacrifice is that you've got these killer albums. There's and I'm going to talk about that a lot tonight. For me, who's a huge thrash and death metal fan, I get moments of death metal in there too. And that's what really excites it for me and kind of ignites it for me. So, I narrowed it down to Sacrifice and Voivod, and I'm going to give it to Sacrifice by a hair, only because that comeback album and then a new album coming out, it's going to ignite everything back up again. That comeback album was amazing. So, you know what? It's just great. And there's no change in the musical direction. It just keeps getting stronger, faster, heavier. And then that little bit there's like a little hint in the vocals in that of a bit of death metal that just really mixes with the thrash and really kind of makes it its own. That's what I love about it.
Sweet. How about you, Billy?
Yeah, so I agree with Jim in that, all four bands have their own style. So definitely all four have a place. That said, I would say if I were to pick my favorite of the Canadian thrash, and I emphasize thrash, I would go Sacrifice number one for me, and I don't say that just because Gussie is here, but it truly is the case. I mean, for me, Annihilator came on the scene much later.
Yeah,
Right? So if they were a U.S. band, we wouldn't be talking. They'd be part of the second wave.
that's right.
So I'm not, they're not old school in that sense, and they came after and didn't fully pay their dues in the mid '80s. So I'm leaving them off. I just a personal thing, but I've never been the biggest fan of Razor. I mean, I like the music. I respect everything the band has done. They're legendary, but for some reason, it just the one of the big three that doesn't fully click. And then you get Voivod. So I agree with Jim. I would kind of put Voivod and Sacrifice as my top two. But from a thrash perspective,
Yeah.
like Voivod doesn't even touch it. Like those early thrashy Voivod albums, I don't know, like it's a bunch of noise to some degree to me. But what I do like about Voivod is the more progressive stuff, like Nothing Face. I enjoy that, but that's not like a pure old school like thrash album. So yeah, so my number one in this case would be Sacrifice for thrash.
Yeah, I could see that. I have the same opinion. For pure thrash, I go with Sacrifice, and I say that too because Jim made a good point. They get better with each release. They stay true to their style and sound.
Yep.
They don't change, which is what I like about them. One's I Condemn is just an absolute beast of an album, and I know the new album coming up is going to be equally as good. And that's what I like. You want that kind of like you just want that band where they grab you by the balls and they don't let go. And that's what I always thought Sacrifice did for as a pure thrash band. Like I don't have a problem with Annihilator. I don't have a problem with Voivod. I mean, Razor's okay. I respect Dave Carlo. He's a pioneer in the Canadian scene as well. I mean, you got to give the guy props for that, for going on and keep going. And I know he's dealing with like recent health issues, and he still plays. And I like the last Razor album. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was just really really kick ass. But you know, we'll give this question to Sacrifices generally our number one pick, which is great. All right, so we'll go on to question number two, and we'll start again with Gus. So, like Sacrifice, they've shared the stage with major acts like Exodus, Slayer, and Megadeth. So Gus, again, you might be a bit biased, but where would you rank Sacrifice among the Bay Area bands? I'm tough one, I know.
We could play with any one of them. Anyone. Any night, wherever they want to play. I'd play with any one of them. I would like to go out and play more shows with I love to play shows with Death Angel for sure.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty close to the heart for us when it comes to, student style bands, stuff like that. And they've really come a long way. And I thought they probably sound the best over the long haul, the last 5-6 years, especially when I've seen them playing lately.
Yeah, they've been great. They've been super great for the last, I'd say since 2000, or maybe 2015, 16. They haven't stopped. They've been on a tear, major tear.
And playing and writing good albums too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I mean, I know you played with all those bands. I mean, did you guys ever play with Metallica?
No, that's the only band that we've never scratched the surface with. But then again, they were in the stratosphere by the time we got rolling, anyways.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I know you played with Megadeth. I know you played with Slayer and Exodus. All those bands, but I wasn't sure if I remember you ever playing with Metallica. But you're right.
No.
They're like the big boys, right?
Yeah, they were out of our. Yeah, you just never came across it. But then again, by the time by 87, 89, they were playing Maple Leaf Gardens then.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, that's right. Because they were on the arena tours.
Yeah, just about to break it and start doing more arena shows and stuff.
Exactly.
Like literally, the first band, like before anybody.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's true. They're like trailblazers, especially in the thrash metal scene, for sure. No doubt about that. So I'll ask you guys now. Billy, what do you think of question number two? Good.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to rank them, right? Because they're all so different, and they all have like such like key places in my metal journey, right?
Mhm.
I mean, to some degree, Sacrifice was one of the earliest bands
Yeah.
that, like seeing much music and the old video and over and over. And that's how that's how I discovered Sacrifice. So, and I've had a chance to see all these bands live many times. And I recently caught Sacrifice at the Maryland Death Festival a couple months ago. So from a live perspective, I agree with what Gus was saying. I mean, it was a vicious show. The guys still, pack a punch live. So I mean, I think they stand their ground very well against them live. And I mean, every one of these bands have a great album, and I think so does Sacrifice. And some of these bands, Exodus and certainly Metallica and Slayer largely at the end. Yeah, I mean, I found the albums kind of hit or miss. But the one thing I know about Sacrifice is every album delivered. So that there's a consistency level there, and part of it is just the excitement. I have more excitement for a Sacrifice album, and maybe that's because there's not as many of them, and you got to wait a little while. But when they come, and they come on. So it's great. I take pride in I'm Canadian. We're all
Yeah.
Canadian. Um, so I feel this connection with Canadian music, and also like I as you guys know, I go to all the European metal festivals, and I see so many people with their battle vests, and they have like Sacrifice patches, and it's just I smile with like a sense of pride. I'm like, hey, that's one of my bands here in Canada. So yeah, I mean, I've a long story short, I mean, I think they stand well against them.
Cool. Okay, and Jim, your thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, you've got like even the American second wave bands. I mean, there's some bands like even like Exodus is probably putting out a lot more better material than Metallica is nowadays. So you're looking at it from, you know, just so different. I find the Canadian Big Four is a lot more consistent, and I find and that obviously with Sacrifice being my favorite of that four is consistent. You've got when you break down the American Big Four and top four, and I'm hugely I love Slayer. Megadeth's probably the most consistent in the sense that they keep putting out lots of material, and they're not really swaying from their formula too much. Anthrax probably the second. I find Metallica, since those first four albums, for me, the Black Album sort of, I mean, all hats to them. It was their big, huge, stratospherical album, but for me, it wasn't a thrash album. And that's and Slayer's pretty much is retired. I mean, they're doing some shows and stuff, which, by the way, they sound great, but I mean, they're not going to be putting out anything new. And their last few albums were waning off as well. So I think they fit right in there, just like what Billy said. They're up in there, and then there's the Canadian part of it. I mean, I got this in 1985 when I was 14 years old, and I bought it. There was no pre-listening to it like you do now. You bought that because the album cover said you need this in your collection. So you went out and you bought it. My allowance money, bought it. Even here in Halifax, it was probably even considered an import at the time, and bought it, Sam the Record Man, and just holy, that blows you away, and goes from there. And there's that feeling of that with those bands. Like, I mean, I remember picking up Evil Invaders from Razor. I remember, the first Voivod album, War and Pain. I mean, I remember the first time I saw the video, the guys were wearing gas masks. I was like, what the hell is this? Like that's the feeling that you don't get anymore out of the American Big Four. So I think the second wave, there's more stuff coming with like Forbidden, even depending on where Death Angel's going to end up, even like Kerry King's project, stuff like that. I mean, the thrash movement is just gaining momentum. That's why Sacrifice putting out an album coming up is just, I mean, that's perfect timing.
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree. Totally agree with that. So question 3 is interesting because I've been weighing this in my mind. What is the better album? For Determination or Soldiers of Misfortune? And I'm kind of in the middle. I like both albums equally. I was reading a lot of comments online from people saying that they found that Forward is really vicious and rabid. And when they got the Soldiers, they slowed down a little bit, not as vicious. But I disagree. I think it's a way, way better album. Gus, I'm going to ask you, since you're the guy that was in the band on both albums, which album do you prefer working on? Was it Forward or was it Soldiers?
Ford was that came much faster than probably Soldiers did. Soldiers took better part of maybe 2.5 years to write and finish, and felt like that album just took forever to come about. And like For Determination, which I thought came together probably even faster than maybe the first one. And by the time we finished it, recorded it, it just seemed like the right thing at the right time. Which one do I prefer? Well, I can play both albums. It doesn't matter which song they want to play. Obviously, we're a little bit more constrained to play stuff off of Soldiers compared to maybe For Determination.
Right.
And that goes by, if you're lucky enough to play that full album in Moncton, and probably I think it was 17 or 18. We played a full set of For Determination that night. So, or was it Montreal? Something like that. I know we played a full set of Ford at least over the last 8 years. We played the full set of it once. Like Soldiers it would just take too much time to practice to play the whole thing. So we played specific songs off of it. Yeah, unlike back in the day where we played everything.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, like it's a much more complex album. So I mean, obviously you hear it in all the songs. So it's
it's like playing Truth would like it'd take like a year of practice, all of us in a room, just to get the timing back and then play it perfect again. Some songs are just impossible. Yeah, and what band doesn't have one of those, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. I get it totally. So, Billy, what do you think of question number 3? What would be your answer, man?
Sorry?
What would be your answer?
Oh, yeah. So I think they're both great albums. I mean, but to be honest, it wasn't a difficult for me. My favorite is not only my favorite Sacrifice album, but it probably sits in my top 25 albums of all time, is Soldiers of Misfortune.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Forward. I mean, it's where I discovered the band, or probably just after Torment going in there. So there's definitely some nostalgia around the earlier stuff. But I think Soldiers, just the songwriting is maybe more refined and mature. And like there's a lot more like, whereas Forward was just unrelenting and vicious like Thrash. Here we got a lot of these songs. There's a lot of tempo changes, and the band. I'm sure Gus would agree, improved as musicians, and so like I just think the songwriting is more dynamic. The songs are varied. The production is really good. I enjoy the production on that. So yeah, I just think it's a perfect album, and not to put down any of the other Sacrifice albums, but for me that one always just clicked perfectly with me.
Okay, cool. And what about you, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's a great album, and we're going to be discussing it, and that's awesome because it is like for somebody who wants to get into Sacrifice. This is definitely a great gateway album. You've got the guitars, the drums, you've got the vocals. Just I mean, it's a perfect mix. But I like going back to 1985 to Torment. I love that album. But I mean, all three of them. I mean, the first three, bang, bang, bang. And it's just one after another after another. There's not you don't skip any tracks, and it grabs a hold of you and just goes. And I mean, I agree with Billy. I think that Torment would end up in probably a top 20 or top 25 of my all-time albums, and that includes like of metal. That includes like Holy Diver or Mob Rules from Sabbath. That would be in there with that grouping, and probably in my top, like in my top 7 thrash albums of all time. So I love it. I think it's great. And 1990, what a strong time for thrash metal, eh? Like, holy geez, you just got everything coming out so quick and so fast, and it's just phenomenal. I mean, that year alone was just memorable for thrash, and I mean the production on Soldiers is phenomenal as well. I think it sounds absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, so we'll get to a question for now. We were talking about this before we started recording about this question. So we're just gonna basically ask you, Gus, to give us your perspective since you're in the band. And basically, we just kind of want, or at least I wanted to know what do you think was the major cause of the band breaking up in '93? Now they put out, I know you didn't play on Apocalypse Inside, but they did put the album out with a different drummer, and they toured with Death, and then right after that they called it quits. What's your thoughts about that, Gus?
Oh, they always told me that the thrash itself was a dying genre at that point. They said, man, you'd show up and it'd be like you're playing in a room at 10 people. And I was like, I couldn't believe that. And then you go to a death metal show, and it's like Cannibal Corpse are packing the room, right? So I guess it's just the economics of it. They packed it in, and then then it was just we didn't do anything, like, or at least he didn't do anything for 10 years, and then out of nowhere I started playing again, and next thing you know, I'm playing punk rock, and I end up seeing those guys over at Christmas, I guess in '03. It's probably about years after I started playing again, because I spent 12 years without playing anything, no drums, no nothing, just raising kids, right? And then it's funny how that stuff just comes screaming back to you, right? and then next thing you know, everybody's like, "Hey, look who's playing drums again." Okay, let's see what he wants to do. And then I was lucky enough that Rob Mills lived around the corner from me, and then next thing you know, I'm playing with him and John Tard and the Three Tards, and I did, Jesus, maybe 4 years with those guys. Played a lot of shows with them. Got my feet wet again, playing music live. Did an extended run with those guys, and then played the reunion show in '06. After almost 16 years of any of us playing. We did the reunion show for Noel. I thought it was only going to be a one-off at that point. I thought we were done. And the following year, he had all these songs kicking back. Out the door we go. He goes, okay, you want to play again? I said, okay. You say, oh yes. I mean, it's not like it didn't feel good, right? That's a lot of history there, a lot of records, a lot of good songs. I wasn't going to kick that to the curb, and I was feeling good about him and where we were at mentally. So we were raising the kids and not putting a lot of pressure on each other, right? So it's easier to sit back and go, okay, I got a collection of songs that I can, and we sit down, we start learning them, playing them, and next thing you know, we write Condemned. And when you finish that one, you think to yourself, everybody gonna like it? A few people heard it, seen it, and I had no idea. I was still nervous about it, still recording it, and here we are today, right? Talking about it 16 years later since we did that.
Absolutely.
And like, okay, we're not the fastest writers in the world, but I'd rather quantity and quality over doing 10 albums in that time, and subpar, just not being the best albums you can possibly do, right? Well, were we lucky on this one? Yeah, sure. I mean, I went and I think we only had like maybe 10 songs, and then we put out 3 more, and it's all gravy. Uh, my head's spinning. I'm telling you guys right now. I see it coming.
Yeah, man.
I thought we were going to do an EP, to be quite honest. And it went way well beyond the EP portion of it. And considering how we finish it, and we were going to do Over the Mountain by Ozzy, and we ended up doing Direct Actions, Trapped in a World. So that in itself was unexpected, and we did that. And that was just one of those things. You want to do this, and listen to it, planned it, pull it off, and then by the time you finish mixing it, you're like shaking your head, going, "Shit, man! I didn't think that would come together like that." But I mean, that's what I'm saying to you guys. Like, all these albums come my way, and my passion, my love for each one of them is never been undying. I still want Watts to play Decapitation and Warrior of Death, and he's a pain in the ass, man. He won't fucking play him. So, I don't know, you guys. I mean, maybe we'll just keep ripping him and stuff, and maybe he'll bend one day. I don't know. I doubt it, but we try. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, for
I
sure.
love playing all that old stuff, and like I still love, like, every once in a while Rob will say, he'll pull up Possession or Burnt at the Stake. All those songs off of those records, I still love to play. We haven't played Burnt at the Stake in years. Will it make it back to the set list? I don't know. This new stuff is so good. I don't know if I want to play any of the old stuff anymore. I want to play at least 4 or 5 songs off the new album.
Oh yeah. I think
So,
for sure.
so if I say that to you guys, what do you take out? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
You take them out and put the new ones in. But I mean, it's be it for me, like, you guys are going to get it like in the next, 30, 60 days, whatever, right? And then you're going to listen to it, and then you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I don't know. How do you spit out the next 20 songs for the next 90 minutes coming up, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you guys. It becomes a difficult one once your catalog keeps spreading. Like, we're playing less stuff off of Condemned now, which is still a crying shame, because there's still lots of stuff off that record I still love.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue into the next the other question. You guys reunited 2006, as you already stated, and then you recorded in 2009 The Ones I Condemn. So we all love it. So what do you think about that, Jim?
Oh, I love that album. I think what a return to form, and what a wicked, you know what? It has, like I keep saying, it just has this really distinctive thrash / there's this tinge of death metal in there, and I love it, and it's even more evident on this. Love that album. The album's great, and what a way to come back. And again, like, I hope new fans decide to go back and start checking out this stuff, especially with the new album coming out. Get the new album and then go back and check these albums out. I mean, that's what it's all about, and kind of do it in kind of a chronological order. You'll see how it just progresses, and I think that's great. No, I love this album. A lot of bands come back from a long hiatus, and they don't put out something really groundbreaking like this. I love that album. It's one of my it's another favorite.
Cool. And Billy?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big fan of that album. I thought it was great. I mean, 2009, some of the big bands had albums out that same year, right?
Yeah.
You had Megadeth with Endgame, you had Creator with Hordes of Chaos, and you had Slayer with War Painted Blood. I would say The Ones I Condemn stands with all 3 of those. I mean, Jim hit it. Like, for me, this one more so like, I feel a bit more death metal, but particularly in Rob's vocal approach, which I really liked. Like, I thought it really suited his voice, so it just straddled the line with, like, death metal, and it was had all the 100% core elements of Sacrifice, no doubt about that. But I did feel there were some heavier parts, and as we said, some death, and even a little doomy at times, I thought, perhaps. So yeah, it was a great album, right? I mean, just enough like progression and change, but still retaining everything we love about Sacrifice. So great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. One of the greatest. I've read this online. Like people were saying, it's one of the greatest comeback albums ever. Which
Oh yeah.
I think that's a good that's like a really good compliment to the band. But it's great. I would agree with you guys. It's an album that I totally love and listen to this day. I've never not listened to it. It's great.
I really do.
What's that? Is that Gus?
I appreciate that from all you guys. Like seriously, that means a lot to me. Just, you know, I was
Yeah,
unsure of where we're going to be at that time.
sure, I can
True.
understand that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Well,
there's always done. You know what I'm saying? Always done.
Yeah.
yeah.
And for me, I felt that. You know, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. Like, man, I'm telling you, when it came out, I was like, I started reading the stuff people are saying about it. I was like, I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Still can't believe it today. And you figure after 16 years, like people get sick of it. No, still cranking it, still playing it today, still love it, and no complaints whatsoever. It's
Same here, dude. I mean, I play thrash all the time, and I'm a metalhead, and I'm in my 50s, and I will never not listen to metal. You know.
Oh yeah.
I think I can speak for all of us, Jim and even Billy. We're all crazy for it, for like metal, and we never stop listening to it.
Yeah.
You know, but and so we had one final question, and we won't talk much about it because I know we don't want to spoil it for everybody. But Volume 6 is coming out. We're all excited about that. I'm excited, and I'm sure both Billy and Jim, you guys are excited about it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would figure you would be. Nobody here on this podcast tonight would not be excited. And even Gus himself, who's obviously beaming with excitement because he's dying for all of us to hear it, all us, Sac fans to hear it. So Gus, not to put you on the spot, but is it coming out? Is it like February? Is it coming out or January?
I keep hearing January.
January.
Which exactly in January I won't know until I guess by Monday, possibly sometime soon. I know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I figured. I know you meant. I heard January, but
I'm pretty sure we said yes to everything we've heard so far. So been pretty happy. So yeah, hopefully by next week we have a better timeline and everything, and we're looking at more firm dates sometime in the new year.
Cool. I do want to ask you one quick question about the artwork. Who did the album art for the new one?
The new album was done by Todd Kowalski. He's the bass player in Propaganda.
Oh, okay, cool. I was wondering who did that. I really like that cover. It's awesome.
Yeah, he did a snap job on it for sure. I knew about him when Rob asked him to do the cover because he did the cover for our EP for the Rush cover for Anthem, and they did that.
Right. Yes.
Exactly. So he did that cover. He drew that himself. And when I seen that painting, I was floored about what he had done. So yeah, so Rob, gave him a copy of the new record and said, "Here, listen to this and let your fingers and your mind walk." So that's what we did.
So you guys didn't you didn't give me a directive. You just said go for it, right?
Yeah, we just gave him the album and said, "Here, listen to this and come up with something that's in your head. Let your fingers do the walking." And when I heard about him doing it, I was super excited. So when I finally seen it, I was like, "Wow, absolute perfection! Absolute perfection! Yeah. I love it." And yeah, as soon as it got finalized, I was like, "Yeah, if this is not perfect, I don't know what is."
No, it's great. It's great. I was really excited when I saw the cover.
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh man, this is going to be wicked."
So far, from the sleeves to I mean, it's basically perfectly put together. I mean, it's gonna be gatefold. It's gonna spread out. It's just, I don't know what to tell you guys except that it's just like I cannot believe how good it's gonna be.
Wicked.
Oh, believe me, we're all excited, dude. We're all.
And the best about it is putting it on and cranking it up. 40 minutes perfection, gentlemen. 40 minutes.
Oh,
20
cool.
minutes of stuff. Absolute perfection. I couldn't believe it when they timed it all out and gave it to us and time stamped it. I was like, shit, man. You couldn't do it better. Absolute perfection. You know, like the way they divided it up, all the songs, how they all come in, how it's all put together. I can't wait till you guys hear it. Man.
I know. I see the glee, man. I know you're excited.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see people's faces, man, when they get this record, man. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I know Roland's super excited.
Gonna turn some heads, man.
Good. I can't wait. I'm absolutely stoked for it. I'm so excited.
Stand on top of this mountain, and we're gonna, man. Can't wait to hear it.
Love that.
Wait. Can't wait. You guys are gonna get it hard, man. I'm telling you.
Wicked.
Oh, I like the sound of that, dude.
Yeah.
I totally love the sound of that.
You don't love this, man. I'm gonna give up. I swear to God.
No.
Because there's nothing. Hey, listen. The thing about this record is, there's nothing manufactured. It's all of us off the floor.
Okay.
Everything.
Cool.
It's all. We're pushing air on this one. You understand? There's nothing manufactured.
Well, I was really excited. I was really excited that you guys were.
And know that fact. And I'm extremely proud of the fact that this album, without a doubt, nothing manufactured. No samples, no nothing.
Great.
Awesome.
Live drums, live guitars, everything from all four guys. And just leave it all in there. Leave it all in this record. I can't believe it's us sometimes.
Cool. Well, you know what? I was even excited when you guys announced that there was going to be a Toronto show later in the year or later next year.
Yeah,
that excites me.
Listen, it's not lost on us. Trust me. The screaming's been loud. You know what I'm saying, for the last couple of years, especially in my own ears, because I hear it online all the time. So it's not lost on us. And I know Sean said Sean manages us, and he said there's no way you guys can play a home show next year. I said, yeah, you're right. we gotta suck it up and finally play one.
Yeah, awesome.
Like, yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Well, we're all excited. I'm definitely going to be there for that. I won't miss. It's a show that I will not want to miss for sure.
The only question for all three of you guys is, what venue do we play in?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you guys know the venue yet?
Gonna be.
Well, I'm assuming you guys already know the venue.
Maybe we'll do a tool thing and we'll just sell out Scotiabank 20,000.
That'll be cool.
That would be wicked.
Yeah, that would be totally wicked. Totally. Well, we're all excited, dude. So you got 3 fans here we're waiting for this record.
I'd take a couple nights at the Opera House, to be quite honest.
Woo!
Yeah, that's a great location. Yeah,
that's a great location. For
Either
sure.
place. You know, but I mean, I still have this want to play the concert hall too. So
okay, cool.
And you know, Mayhem, we're supposed to play there in May, and then they dropped out. Something happened with those guys for the 40th anniversary. You guys know about that, right?
Yeah, I heard something about that. I heard some chatter about it.
Yeah, and I heard they're doing shows again at the concert hall. So I'm like, why can't we play there again?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you? Exactly.
That would be another dream come true for me to finally play that venue again. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
All I can tell you guys is, once this album comes out, you tell me.
We'll be telling you, dude. Don't worry about it. You'll be here.
You're talking in the world, right? It don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing, because all I can do is push the air. And once I push the air, then you're the guys. Once it fills your earlobes, you're the ones that are going to tell me about what you think. And I already know what it's like to be condemned, and I know what it's like to have done this one. And I'm telling you, man. When I did Soldiers, this is how I felt after Soldiers.
Nice.
Wow. Nice.
You guys
love to hear that, Gus. Love to
you
hear
guys. You tell me when you guys hear this. Wait till you hear the first. I've already got a song on this album that I like completely love, and I'm head over heels in love with this song. When you hear this album, you tell me after you hear it what that song is.
Okay.
I'm not, and that's your project for the next couple of months. Think about that question,
Okay.
and when you think about the podcast, and maybe when you finally get your hands on this album, you're gonna be saying, "Oh shit, man, we're gonna have to sit down and talk about this record."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we do. Yeah. We would like to have you back on when the album actually comes out, so we can have like a good like in-depth discussion about it. Because
And in the new year, we'll do just that.
cool. Yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad we can do that because we're all excited, dude. We're totally excited. Trust me.
Yep.
Boys, this is gonna be epic. I
Wicked.
promise. I
Cool.
promise.
Oh, I don't doubt it, man. I don't
You guys
doubt
are
it.
getting the scoop tonight. You guys beat everybody to the drop, eh? You realize this, eh?
Yes,
I
sir.
don't think Ken realizes it. That's the thing, eh? You guys are getting the scoop tonight. And
Yeah.
you wait. This shit's gonna
Nice.
blow up.
Cool.
Nice.
All right, sir. So we'll get into the
Get my first million, but that's just me.
yeah. All right, cool, man. So we'll get into the album discussion. So this is our segment where we just talk about the album, like the songs themselves. The opening song, as everyone knows, is As the World Burns." It's like a whippersnapper for me. I love this song. It's so great. So Gus, we'll let you lead off. You're the guest of honor here. So give us your thoughts with that song. What do you think of it? Is it one of your favorites?
Yeah, I love that tune. I love playing it. I play it anytime with those guys. We still play it. We played it 3 times this year, and still
Mhm.
love playing it. It's probably one of my favorite songs off that album that he wrote.
Cool. Okay.
Top
Like it.
You want
What's
to know?
that? What's
I
that?
said top for me.
Okay, well, hey, that's awesome, man. I love the song too. I think as an opening song on the record, it's killer. Like the guitars are ferocious. Rob's vocals are so vicious. Like it's awesome. And I even love like I'm a lyrics guy. So whenever I buy an album, I like to focusing on the lyrics. So for me, I love the fact that it's about environmental destruction. You got the idea about global warming in there. It's great. And just a question for you though, who wrote the lyrics on that song?
All that stuff is written by Rob. Rob
Right,
does
Rob.
all
Okay, that's what I thought, but I was just was curious if Rob wrote all the lyrics. Okay, that's good to know. All right, so Jim, what do you think of the song?
Oh
Cool.
man, it's one of my favorite songs. What a way to lead off the album. The third album here, bam! It just a big smack to the face with this one. I mean, I love it's wicked. That heavy guitar and drum intro is wicked. It just sets the tone for the album. That bass groove that goes on, that bass line at about 140 is really cool. I mean, it's just a great song. I love it.
Yeah, I would agree. What about you, Billy?
Yeah, no, it's a great way to start the album. I mean, I remember hearing this for the first time. I mean, the production jumped out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the sacrifice I loved, but there's little touches that are different, right? Like Jim, you mentioned it, like at like 135,
Yeah.
it kind of the tempo slows down and it kind of feels like this little funky section,
Yeah.
or like you wouldn't have saw that on the old Sacrifice, but it's all these touches that just make this thing a masterpiece. There's like a cool like mid-pace groove section in the middle of the track. I mean, all these sort of dynamics and the shifting tempos in not every one of the songs, but quite a few of the songs really just make me love this album. The just Joe and Rob just shredding in that excuse me, I got a bit of a cold. Joe and Rob just shredding like from kind of 2 minutes to 3.5. That's just awesome. It's just a killer song, and so it's vicious. It's a great thrash song, but at the same time, again, kudos to the songwriting because it's catchy as hell. And you could just grab onto this thing, and I want to listen to it over and over again.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree with that. Okay, so track number 2 is the title track to the album, "Soldiers of Misfortune." a song that I really love. It's like slow, moody opening, classy sounding guitars. The lyrics are all about war, which kind of fits into our theme tonight. As I did mention off the top, it was Remembrance Day a few days ago, and Veterans Day in the United States. So although we didn't pick it to do that for this show, but it worked out timing wise that we're talking about soldiers and it just happens to be Remembrance Day. But this song, it's a classic. It's an epic song. Lots of great lyrics about the struggles of being a soldier. It's fantastic. And Gus, what are your thoughts about the title track?
Still love playing it. Still play it at every show. We played it every show since we wrote it. Every show. Never failed. And we're lucky enough to have much turn it into a video, to be quite honest. And that video probably captured us at our prime too. At our most we were pretty crushing back then.
Oh, no doubt. This song's a masterpiece. I mean, great opening song, and you get the second song, and it's great. It's such a great song.
Thanks.
So, okay, so Billy, what do you think of Soldiers?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's another brilliant track. Again, little twists and turns. I mean, I love the opening, the cool bass and clean guitar work, and Gus is like, doing this intricate cymbal work. I mean, and so I'm just going to say it so I'm not repeating it. Like, Gus, I think this is like just an amazing drum performance. Yeah. I mean, like many features of all these songs are like, you just get into like these great drum fills or the cymbal work is all over the place. I mean, it just adds so much to the music. Like I posted that we were doing this on Instagram, and everybody, jumped in, and everyone was like, Gus is like the most underrated drummer. I mean, the drumming is just outstanding on this record. So, I mean, that's definitely the case. So, I just want to get that out there. But and the double bass, right? I mean, there's a time for the intricate drum work, but then there's a time to just steamroller you with that like massive double bass, which comes into this track as well. So yeah, just great stuff. I mean, everybody's on fire. And yeah, I got to see this live back in March, and yeah, it just blew me away. Another great track.
Cool. And Jim?
Yeah, when you nail the lyrics with the way the song is constructed, it kind of gives you goosebumps because you get the feeling of a soldier sort of going through what he's going through in that. And spoiler alert, this song will be in my top 10 war theme. But anyways, not really a top 10 because I just picked 10 songs. So they're in, but I like the fact that the build up and the cymbals, like Billy said, cymbals in thrash metal is cool, and this is just, it's all over this album. But I love it that the vocals don't cut into like 120, 122.
Yeah.
So it's just this build up, just like you kind of get the feeling of what the soldier's going through. The writing on this is really good. But you guys said it all. It's a great song and a classic.
Well, that's a great segue into track number 3, In Defiance, which I think is an all-out thrasher and another brilliant. The lyrics are brilliant. I think they're so bold because you're talking about resistance, greed, deception, and it's all about this parasitic entity that's like, it thrives on like deceit and exploitation. So that's really cool. Gus, do you have any insight about the lyrics here? What was going on at the time when you guys started the song?
In Defiance, yeah. In regards to what's going on in that song, I wish I knew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a great song, dude. It's like it's frantic pacing and speed, like, and your drums here oh man, they're off the charts. This is like, as Jim likes to call, a good drum track. This is a really good drum track for you on track 3. At least that's what I think. What about you, Jim? Do you think the same?
Yeah. This is one of the ones that has an obituary feel to me. Like it's got a little bit of a death. It's fast song and it's a thrasher, but the vocals, I find Rob's vocals kind of reminiscent of a little bit, but different, John Tardy from Obituary, and it's just a really interesting sound, and I love that. And Billy, I mean, I know you're a huge death metal fan as well. What do you think? Do you kind of get that? I get that total Obituary feel with it, but to a thrash track. So very like clean musicianship. I mean, you start off with the double bass drum intro, which is just cool, and you go from there. But do you kind of get that sort of death metal sound?
No, I actually, I mean, I did in one other song, but not necessarily this song.
Really? Oh,
But
man.
yeah, but I mean, I mean, this song I think is like a total banger. I also think it's unique on the album because all the other songs are, this one feels like it could have been on Forward Determination because it's pretty much relentless. Like it rips from open to close, right? There's less of the tempo changes in this particular song, which is good because there's plenty of that on all the other tracks. So it makes for a great mix. I mean, I think it was Ken who said, I mean, this is all about the drumming and the riffs. Like to me, that's the best part. There's like a minute kind of like from 240 to 320 that's just all these chaotic like guitar solos, and it kind of reminds me a bit of like something that you'd see on like Rain and Blood a little bit, just the chaotic solos. Like it's just well done, and this is another track I got to hear live at the Maryland Death Fest, so it was a fan favorite for sure.
Cool. All right, so track number 4, Existence Within Eternity, a great song I totally love. Like there's some major chugs here are seismic to me. The opening is fantastic. Again, Gus is like on fire with the drums here. It's a really interesting song because it's all about discussing the idea of the afterlife and the idea of immortality, and then the mysteries behind existence itself, which I think is kind of neat. It's interesting for me as a song. Gus, you have any thoughts about this song?
Oh yeah, I've always loved playing that song live.
Okay.
That's I love writing that one. It's always been a personal favorite of mine for sure on this record. Yeah, cool. I love it.
Cool.
And it came quicker than some of the other ones. I'll tell you that.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Okay, and what do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great song. Great song. I love the kind of the guitar intro that leads into those massive riffs, and then with the drums. I mean, it just sounds, it's wicked. And then the vocals cut in. I find it's got a lot of groove to it. It's a groovy thrash track, and I love it. One of my favorite songs on the album, but I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I love this album through and through. Like, there's nothing, I would hate to have, like, it's just a kick-ass album. And this song fits perfectly. You're leaving out of In Defiance, which is just a classic, and heading into that. And then even the next song, which we're not there yet, but that's another banger of a song as well. But I'll wait.
No problem, Jim. Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, no, I mean it's another great song. I mean, you said it, Ken, and so did you, Jim. Like the huge chugging, like stop and go lifting. I mean, it kind of comes in at the beginning and kind of closes out towards the end. It's just so memorable. Like those riff hooks are fantastic. And you may have said this, Ken, but just around the mid mark, there's like what feels like a little drum solo by Gus for a couple seconds. It just kind of he's going at it. Yeah, it's just great. But and this is another one where kudos to the songwriting because it's so memorable, right? Like it all comes together. It sticks in your head. Like you just love listening to it. Like it never gets old. I mean, this whole album, I enjoy it. Like, I've been listening to it all week to prep for this. I'm enjoying it now as much as I did in 1990 when I was listening to it. And I guess it was still our tape deck. Portable tape decks at that time, or was it portable disc? I don't remember, but it was one of the two. The Walkman, Walkman or Discman.
Yeah, I had a Walkman. Yep. I had this on the Walkman, so it's funny you bring that up. So long ago. All right, so track 5, Pawn of Prophecy, another really good song. This is like for me, it's a serious headbanging song. I
Yeah.
could see like with those rapid chugs, the big crunchy guitars, like it's so commanding. As soon as you hear it, I'm sure in the mosh pit, you'd be there, you know. And I like it too because it's very thematic, like lyrically. You know, we're talking about destiny, manipulation, and the struggle against preordained fate. So I think it's kind of lofty, but well written in my mind. Gus, do you have any thoughts to share about Pawn of Prophecy?
Oh, still, that's a favorite of mine for sure.
Okay, cool.
That was a hard one to write, but when we pulled that one off, yeah, that's a physically tough song to play. Yeah, we don't play it too often live, but when we do, it's one that I usually play early in a set because of the double bass in it and stuff like that. It really stretches me out physically, anyways. And
Okay.
yeah, it's a well written song. I think probably one
Yeah.
of our best songs. Like probably one of the better songs we wrote off of Soldiers, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I love this song as well. I've been listening to it all week long, and it's like, yeah, Upon a Prophecy, it just sticks in your head. But yeah, it's a
Yeah,
fantastic song.
it could probably sit on any one of our records, I'd say.
Yep. Yep. That's a good point. And Billy, what do you think of Upon a Prophecy?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have said it, right? It's got, I mean, it's great from beginning to end. It starts with this like nice thrash gallop. I mean, Gus is drumming to his point, right? There's some like brutal, like double bass drumming on the track. Like, I really like around a minute and a half, it kind of transitions to like a slower groove. It's kind of a nice, cool contrast. I mean, again, great songwriting. There's this great riff section, I mean, lead guitar section, and some cool like dive bomb guitar riffs that kick in. And then it ends, as aggressive as it started, right? Like, it's just a great track.
Cool. And Jim?
Yeah, well, you guys said it all. One word: explosive. This song is explosive, and I would love to see this song live because, yeah, I mean, I can imagine it's physically demanding because it is just an ass kicker of a track. I mean, what you guys said is 100%. It's one of my favorites on the album, one of my favorites in the catalog. So it's a wicked track.
I like when you said ass kicker because that's kind of what I get out of it too. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so track number 6, another one that I liked lyrically because I think there's a lot of interesting things being said here. Lost Through Time. So like I'll just take you through it. So what I interpret from the lyrically from the song is that it's about ancient mysteries, the idea of forgotten knowledge, and then of course the main I guess gist of the song is the passage of time. But what I like of the fact is the song goes into the idea that it describes Giza, the Giza Plateau, and how the tombs of the kings have all been lost to time. So I think it's a nice juxtaposition lyrically wise. As for the song itself, that opening is fantastic. It's crushing. This whole song to me is crushing. Everyone's firing on all cylinders, and I just love how Rob with vocals, how he emphasizes lost through time, and then you get that. It's just so great. Just he's so rabid with that approach. Loved it. And so we'll go to Gus. Of course, he's our guest tonight. And Gus, you have any thoughts for Lost Your Time?
I think with that song, for us, the songwriting was getting better. I like where the songwriting was going from that point of view at that time, and not as thrashy as some of the other stuff. We're more concentrating on the mid-tempo stuff and finding grooves there. And not everybody loves it, but for me personally, I loved it a lot. I loved the mid groove stuff. It was nice change of pace, as they say. Considering the first like 2 albums and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, for me it was a nice change. I really enjoyed writing it and still enjoy playing it today. We don't play it a lot, but it every once in a while, yeah, we'll pull it out.
Sweet, that's awesome. And we'll go to you, Billy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually one of my favorites. Like, I think it's a great track. I always found the first 30 seconds, kind of the music that opens, it kind of sounds crossover thrash to me.
Yeah.
I even get a little suicidal tendencies, but literally at 31 seconds, like it transitions, as Gus said, into this mid-paced kind of well pace. So that totally ends. But I always get that feeling when I hear that first intro. But for here, again, this is another standout drum track. Like, and then Jim, this is the song where I feel like at about the halfway point, Rob's vocals get like guttural.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
sort of hear some like John Tardy in there. So this is the one song where that kind of jumped out at me. Um, there's a great musical section in the middle. Like I love the fact that you got the bass coming to the forefront. There's some cool bass lines
Mhm.
that really stand out in the song. So I love that. Gus said it, but this is why I love this album. Forward is a great album and it rips from beginning to end. But I just love all these little touches and shifts and different paces and grooves. Like it just the songwriting, in my opinion, so much better. And that's why this is my favorite Sacrifice album.
Cool. And what about you, Jim?
Yeah, like I had it. It sounded like a more of a crossover intro till about I had the 40-second mark. So it was hilarious, and then it just goes into this mid-tempo chug, which I love. But yeah, no, it's got a great spot on the album because you're coming out of some heavy, heavy thrashers, and you want to kind of reel it in a little bit here because. I mean, there's some magnum opus stuff coming in the next couple of songs. So,
Fair enough. For sure, dude. So yeah, on the heels of what Jim just said, a storm through silence, track number 7. Let me just tee this up because I was thinking about this all day before we were going to be recording tonight. So existentially, it's a very clever song because it's you get the idea that you're gazing at the night skies and you're wondering about the cosmos. So you're all like you're on a high. Suddenly, you come back down to earth and you get hit with the reality of, oh man, life sucks. And that's how I interpreted the lyrics to the song. I love it. I think it's probably the best song on the album for lyrics for me. And it's just such a great song. It's a lot. The moodiness of it at the start is what I really like about it. And then it goes in overdrive, and the chug engine starts, and it doesn't stop. It's just insane. And I love Rob in the chorus, a storm in silence, and then you get that whispered, repeating voice, which adds a bit of ominous tone to it. So great, so great. Gus, what's your thoughts about the song?
Yeah, Storm was probably a good thrash song to end. Truth for us was I always felt lost. Kind of went into Storm in the Silence. It was like two songs that went together, and I always thought you can't play one without the other, basically.
Right.
And I still think that way about the two songs. But for a pure thrash song for that album, that was probably a good closer, to say the least, considering how long Truth is, and we were basically where the songwriting was starting to go at that point in the album, right? So, yeah, I was still pretty happy about that finisher for sure.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that because in a lot of our podcasts, we always have this debate about how an album should end with a song, and oftentimes we're always like conflicting about how songs end. We'll get the truth in a second, but a storm through silence, I would agree. It's a pure thrashing song. It's so great. Jim, what's your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I love the intro. I think it's got such an interesting intro with that kind of again with the cymbals, and then the drums are sounding great, and then the guitars kind of cut in, and then it just rips into that thrash chug where it just kind of rips the song apart. I mean, I absolutely love it. I think it's great. I never thought of it with 7 and 8 like playing them without the other. Definitely, yeah. I'm gonna. I mean, I usually listen to the album from 1 to 8, so bam. But I'm gonna pay a little bit more attention, see what I get out of it.
Cool. And Billy?
Yeah, it's another brilliant track for me. I find this one a bit. I always look at this and In Defiance as the two more aggressive tracks on the album. I kind of see them as a pair. But you guys have kind of said it, right? The guitar chugging, but this just might be one of the most memorable choruses on the
Yeah,
album.
I would think
Yeah.
so.
It's like a total earworm, that one. It sticks with you. And the real fast parts, I mean, when I listen to it, there's just like a sense of urgency in the delivery, right? Like it's so cool. Yeah, I think it's a great track. And even musically, right? Some of the stellar guitar work in here almost gets technical at times. Like it's just great. I mean, and then it's leading into the album's masterpiece, but we'll get there.
Yeah, fair enough. And then we'll segue into the last track, Truth After the Rain, which is a 10-minute opus. Some might like it, some may not. So Gus, I'm gonna go to you right away. What, because you were kind of alluding to it when I introduced Storm in Silence. What's your thoughts about Truth?
Took a
Gus?
long time to write it.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Took a long time to write it. I don't know how many times we used to show up, play the first 3 minutes of that song, stop playing, look at each other, and go, I don't know. Where we go with the song? I don't know. And that went on for years, and then all of a sudden, bam! One day they found that riff, and then we started taking in other directions. But for us, yeah, just like most of this album, it's all about the songwriting and how
Yeah.
we're trying to take our songwriting to another level, not being just all balls out playing thrash all the time, being a little bit more cerebral about the music we're playing and the riffs we're writing and the direction we're taking the band. Yeah, 10 minutes of that. I mean, the ending after the rain was that was pen pieced together years before we ever finished that song. I mean, me and Joe always had that little part mapped out, and then we just kind of tucked it away, and then finished. When we finished that song, it was pretty epic for sure. And then
Yeah,
to
you're right.
tie all those riffs together, yeah, that
Yeah.
was the thing about it, right?
Gus, have you ever played that live from beginning to end?
Once or twice,
Yeah.
once or twice at the beginning, we used to pull it off, yeah. But we haven't played. Um, it's been a couple jams. We'll pull out like the first 3, 4, 5 minutes of it, or get almost to maybe the halfway point of that song. Sometimes it's happened, but it just with the catalog the way it is now that we've got the new one,
Oh yeah.
it's just it's gonna take like we keep saying to everybody, it would take us a year in a room playing 3, 4 times a week again.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
that possible? Probably not.
Yeah, because you guys are all like spread out and
The
over
guys
the country.
across the country, right?
Yeah.
And now it's when it comes to the new one, we play probably 6, 7 off of that one now,
Okay.
comfortably and happy. And I think we'll continue to do that, mix that into our current set. But I mean, it all depends on how long you get to play, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
how many songs. I mean, you get 60 minutes or 50 minutes. That's what, 10, 12 songs.
Yeah.
Try and take the catalog now and divide it all up and put all those songs into a set list, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I'm
that's
sure
where
that's difficult.
release of this album is gonna dictate, whether we play 50 minutes a night or 90.
Fair enough. Well,
What
this
would
is
you
a great
guys
song.
rather us play, 90 or 50?
Mhm.
I'd rather have 90 minutes.
90.
I that's a silly question to ask, man. 90 minutes,
Stupid
dude.
fucking
Come
question, I
on.
know. Reality of it is, where are you in your form, right?
Yeah.
Are you playing 50 minutes a night or are you playing 90, right? Guys
Yeah,
that are playing 92 hours, they're headlining, right?
that's true. Fair
But I
enough.
mean, yeah, sure, I would love to play the extra. Well, at that point, you're getting what, 6, maybe another 8 songs, 7 songs added to the set list. You play 90. Can we even last 90? Shit, I don't know. Maybe a little bit 75.
Well, you never know.
I can't dictate that. That's gonna come through whatever comes our way.
Yeah.
I know Toronto's going to be at least 9th. There's just no
Oh, sweet.
Wicked.
Looking forward to that, dude. Totally looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
it's coming, right?
Cool.
You know it's coming.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's coming. It's coming. It's like I can smell it in the backyard already. It's fermenting. It's like a big jug of whiskey.
Oh, yeah. So we'll just I'll circle back here to Billy and Jim. Jim, what do you think of Truth?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's a lofty 10-minute magnum opus. I mean, it's got everything in it. I mean, it just got so many changes. It's got groove. I like the melodic ending where it fades out. I mean, I think it's a great way. It's an 8-song album. And it doesn't feel like a 10-minute song. And I think it's a really cool way to end off the album. I really, really like it.
Cool. And Billy?
Yeah, no, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk about this for like 15 minutes, but yeah, I mean, you just see so many sides of the band. It's like a right? The musicianship is just off the charts. The riffs, the drumming, like Gus really shines on this track. It takes you through different phases. There's like this really cool, slow, melodic section at the halfway point. Then he switches to thrash chugs. I mean, someone already said it ends with this beautiful melodic section, kind of in the middle. Like even the riffing, I kind of hear like a slight like Middle Eastern riffing kind of style in there at times. I don't know if that's just me, but I mean, this could have even been an instrumental, right? Like a 10-minute instrument. I mean, I love Rob's vocals, but this could have also stood musically as I think as a piece of music on its own. But just a great journey, and I don't know. I even hear a little Rush in the intro section when I listen to it. I'm a big Rush fan. So I don't know. I kind of hear a bit of Xanadu maybe mixed in there, but yeah, it's great. Like it's just a perfect track. Yeah, it makes me proud to be a Sacrifice fan listening to this masterpiece.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. Okay, so that wraps up the album. Now we're gonna finish our last segment tonight, our top 10 war songs in metal. So it didn't have to be thrash; it could be death metal, straight metal, whatever. But before we get to the last segment, I just wanted to have some closing thoughts. And Gus, do you have any closing thoughts about Soldiers that you want to add or anything?
Well, thank you guys very much for covering one of my favorite pieces of work.
Cool.
That I've ever. Very proud of that record.
Yeah.
It sits high with me,
Okay.
both physically, personally, all that stuff. I don't forget the 2.5 years, 3 years that I took to finish that record. So yeah, for me, it's a huge accomplishment for me. I remember when I broke it and sort of playing it for people. They were, mildly amused to say the least. Just like this.
Indeed.
Well, as fans, we thank you for making.
Yes.
Yeah,
man.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. You guys get to break everything now.
Yeah, we do. We very much do.
No problem.
So, Billy, Jim, you have any final thoughts before we move into the final segment?
It's a classic album. I mean, in the genre of thrash metal, you need to have this again. Like we talk about albums that should come packaged together. If somebody's trying to get into the thrash genre or metal genre, and this would fall into that for sure. You need to explore Sacrifice in order to become a thrash fan in my mind. So, and this album's a great album to do that with, and I'm hoping, and the new album, can't wait for it. And then I can't wait for new fans to explore this stuff because they get to explore it for the first time like we did many years ago. And I can't wait for the new album to explore that. And my kid, from the first when I was 14 and got the first album, that rushes back in January when that comes up. I'm looking forward to that. So
cool. Billy?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've said it. It's a fantastic album. I mean, for me, it's a masterpiece. It ranks in my top 25 albums of all time. It's like Smart Man's Thrash, right? Like the
Mm.
band took a lot of time to think through these songs, right? Like, and the early stuff is great. But you can tell there's a lot of effort and time spent on writing these songs. And for me, that's why it comes out so great in the end. So.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree. Totally agree with you guys. Okay, so our last segment of the evening, our top 10 war songs. And since Gus is our special guest, Gus, did you want to go first with your list?
Oh, where is it?
Oh, no. Did you forget
We're gonna
it?
retrieve it?
Oh,
Okay, hang on. Don't go anywhere.
okay, no worries. No
Right.
problem. So did you guys do top 10 songs or like because
I
I
have a mix of
Oh,
songs,
that's
albums,
great.
okay.
bands.
I did songs.
Yeah, I did songs too. I didn't really stipulate like it could be whatever, but I figured I'd just do war songs. It's a for a list, it's great because there are so many.
Yeah.
Like this topic in metal in general is huge. So, you could be going, it's crazy. Like death metal, thrash, like any form of metal will have like,
Oh, there we go.
oh, you found it?
Yeah.
Good man. Whenever you're ready, Gus,
Okay.
go for it.
Ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Number 10, Rooster by Alice in Chains.
Oh yeah.
Good song.
For me, this is my top 10.
Yeah.
Number 9, Pantera, Mouth for War.
Yeah.
Number 8, Megadeth, Peace Sells.
Cool.
Number 7, Iron Maiden, Run to the Hills.
Nice.
You should hear my grandson sing that tonight.
Mhm.
He's only 3. Number 6, Motorhead, 1916.
Yes.
Ready? Number 5, Bolt Thrower, War Master.
Yeah.
Number 4, Black Sabbath, War Pigs. Number 3, Slayer, War Ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Metallica 1.
Mm-hmm.
And the number 1 song for me,
We know it.
Sacrifice, Soldiers of Misfortune.
Yeah.
Of course. Absolutely. Awesome list, Gus. Awesome.
Go, boys.
And you told me that you were like, oh, I gotta do a list. Oh, you did it. You did it well.
I can
Yeah, I've
give you
got
some
two.
1970 ones if you want those too, eh? I don't like that shit in those
Yeah, well, war is a theme in so many in metal. It could go on forever. Crazy. All right, so Jim, why don't you go next?
Yeah. So I didn't put them in any order. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
rhyme
that's
them
fine.
off. So the first one I picked is Suicidal Tendencies Join the Army. Not really a war song, but about joining the suicidal tendency army. So
Right.
the next one I've got is Ghost Division by Sabaton. I mean,
Okay.
I could have picked really anything by Sabaton.
Yeah.
I've got Soldiers of Misfortune there. Obviously, have to have that in there. I've got Disposable Heroes by Metallica. I also picked one from Metallica, so 2 there. I had Motorhead 1916. What a song, what an album. I had Holy Wars from Megadeth. I mean, The Punishment Due. Love that one. For my Maiden, I picked The Trooper. So that's pretty cool. Had to throw some Slayer in there with Chemical Warfare.
Nice.
And then I picked a kind of an obscure one. The band is 1914. They're a Ukrainian kind of death metal band, Frozen in the Trenches / Christmas Truce. This whole band is just sings about war from the First World War. And I mean, they've got like 2 or 3 albums, but that song's pretty cool, really, really cool. So that's my list in no particular order. It's awesome.
That's
There's
okay.
some great war themes there.
Cool. We have some overlap. I figured we'd have some overlap tonight.
Yeah.
And Billy, why don't you go next?
Yeah, so again, mine are in no particular order. Of course, we got the album we just talked about, Soldiers. I have I have a number of ones similar to Gus. I've got Metallica one. I've got Sodom. I did a mix of bands, albums, and songs that are war themed. So Sodom, you can pick Agent Orange or M16. I mean, Tom, of course, he's a big war history buff, especially Vietnam War. So both those albums are war themed. I mean, Gus had this too. Slayer, War Ensemble. Um, my favorite track from that album. Similar to Jim, I mean, anything Sabaton. I'm not the biggest Sabaton fan, but every album, every song, I do like that they sort of, bring some history to some of the historical battles. So it's a bit educational as well. Then I've got Sacred Reich, Surf Nicaragua, and so that's a political one, but it's also about the cynical portrayal of young people recruited to fight in wars they don't believe in or even understand. Um, Black Sabbath, War Pigs, I guess one of the original metal songs about war. And then I picked a band that's actually has war in their name, a more modern thrash band, Warbringer. And so they've got 6 albums, but their first album in particular, War Without End, has the big tank on the cover, and there's some war themed songs on that album. Number 8, I've got Sabotage, Dead Winter Dead. It's a concept album, but the whole thing takes place during the Bosnian War. So it's an interesting story. Number 9, I have going into death metal, the band Jungle Rot.
Good.
Just a band name is something that soldiers came up with, like a skin infection when they're sort of hiking in tropical climates. And the band often wrote about brutality. I know the singer had an uncle in Vietnam who told them all about it, so a lot of their lyrics went in. And then similar to Gus, I ended with Bolt Thrower, whether it be the Fourth Crusade or a couple of the others. They have a lot of war themes in there as well.
Cool. All right. So we have some overlap. I threw some curveballs in there, so it's a little bit different, but that's cool. So mine are in no particular order either. I will start with Gary Moore, After the War. I love that song. I love Gary Moore so much. This is like during his 80s kind of more hard rock phase. Love that song quite a bit. And then of course I'm going to put Sacrifice. I'm going to go Soldiers of Misfortune. It's a song that I totally love. It's we've talked about it tonight. Classic. We all have Motorhead 1960.
Oh yeah,
that's a really, really good song. I love hearing Lemmy sort of, a lot of emotion in his voice when he's singing that song. It's so great. That song I really, really like. And then I picked Iron Maiden, The Trooper. I love The Trooper. I think that's such a rousing song. I've heard it thousands of times, but it's just one of those iconic songs that you can't get out of your head. Then I picked Triumph. I picked Battle Cry because Triumph, I could have picked like Allied Forces, but it was more like Allied Forces of rock and roll as opposed to Allied Forces in a war. But I like Battle Cry. I think it's a really like emotive song from them. Well, I'm a huge Triumph fan to begin with, but so I picked that. Then I picked Warbringer, like Billy, Total War. I love that first album. It's a modern thrash classic for me. I love the band. I just love the snarl. I love everything about that band, but that Total War is fantastic. Of course, you got to pick Metallica in one. I think it's a great song. I love the book. I've read that book a bunch of times, and it's a classic. Just what more can you say? And then I went with Exodus, War is My Shepherd. It's a more recent song, but it's from an Exodus album that I really, really like. And yeah, I love that song. And then I picked Slayer, but I went with Angel of Death. I kind of think I don't know. I like the song a lot. I know it's about Nazi war camp and all, Joseph Mengele, but it's such a great song for me. It's always in my head whenever I think of Slayer. And then I took Sodom and I took Agent Orange. It could have been Remember the Fallen, but I kind of preferred Agent Orange. I think that's a great song, a really, really good album. But that's my top 10.
wicked.
So we had some overlap.
Yep, that was expected.
Yeah, you mean there's some songs you just cannot not include in a list, you know.
Yeah.
Metallica. I mean, you could have put Megadeth in there, of course. Like I could have, but I left them out. But you know, it's cool. All right, so that's our list for the evening. Now, before we all sign off here, next week we are going to be doing Testament and the New Order. So Jim is going to be hosting, taking the reins on that one. So that's a really, really great album. So we'll be looking forward to talking about it. But as of for tonight, I just wanted to thank Gus. Gus, I really, really appreciate you coming out. I mean, I know I've known you for a long time, and I'm happy that you decided to join the podcast to talk about it. And we look forward to having you again.
Yes.
When the album comes out, you know.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Gus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
we
you.
really-
And everybody
Thanks, guys.
pre-order the album when it's
Yes.
available.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks.
Can't wait till you guys get it, man.
Oh yeah, we're looking forward to it.
And wait.
I'll have a review for Horror Metal Sounds as soon as I get my hands on it. So we'll get the word out there.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely get the word out there for everybody. So
I'm not worried about that at all.
what's that?
We'll talk about that in the new year for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude, for sure. For sure. Time. There's still lots of time. We're just like chomping at the bit to get it.
Oh yeah.
You know, but we're all looking forward to it. Okay, so we'll sign off tonight. Again, I also want to thank Billy and Jim for joining me. We do this every week. We love talking about thrash metal. So, and we had
Great
Gus
voice.
tonight, so it was perfect. And with that being said, take it easy, guys.
Good night.
Good night.